All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Letters from Camp. Tonight, I'm joined by Kevin Fuller, who, among other titles, is the Catamount Lodge Advisor. Kevin, how are you tonight?
I'm good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So, as you know, we like to start off kind of by getting your camp story. Now, might be a little different than some of our previous guests. But when did you start going to camp, and when did you work there? What areas, all that type of stuff. What's your kind of camp story?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I'm not like the rest of your guests. I actually didn't start at Winoxet. I started at Chesterfield Scout Reservation out in Western Mass, the old Great Trails Council, and started going there in 1986 as a Cub Scout. So 86, 87, 88, 89, right around there. I was going as a Cub Scout resident camp. And then my first year as a Boy Scout was 1990 and went until 93. So, earned merit badges and did everything that the Boy Scouts do, shoot rifles and go swimming. And then 94, I got the bug to get on staff. So interviewed, got hired. I was on ecology staff, the assistant director for ecology for that year. And then 95, got hired again, handicraft assistant director. And then we did a program called EPOC. Now, EPOC, those of you might look at it, it's backwards. It's Cope Light, we'll say. Experience Patrol Outdoor Challenge, because we weren't certified to have a Cope course at that point. So we just did low ropes and stuff like that. So I ran that in the afternoon. 96, program commissioner, ran Brown Sea. And then 97 through 99, I was the program director for the camp. So great time, loved it. 2000, plus to like 2002, roughly, volunteered, helped out, came on board when they needed me type of thing. Auxiliary, we'll say, back up off the bench. And then 2010 rolled around and got invited to go to Winoxet and had a little barbecue up there and met some of you guys and some of the staff members. And then 2013 was really the first year I spent at camp for Weeble's resident camp with my son Daniel. And from there, just went on. So 2013 on, I've been Camp Winoxet, camper and volunteer staffer for all those years. So it's great.
What are some of the similarities you've noticed between Chesterfield and Winoxet?
Oh, absolutely. Both camps are very, very similar in layout, we'll say. The buildings, they're rustic, which gives a nice camp feel to it. The layout is almost identical. The dining halls, top of the hill type of thing. The health lodge is next to the camp office, so on and so forth. But the big thing is the program, and I would say the staff members. It was like a perfect fit. The way the program is run at Winoxet is very similar to the way we did it in Chesterfield, and it was just a perfect slide in, and loved it and fell in love with it. And it's my new camp home.
Now you have a pretty unique position as lodge advisor, and that's one that maybe only a few people get to experience. What do you see as kind of the link between camp and the OA?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of in the name, Honor Camper Society. One of the things you have to do to be in the OA is get elected amongst your peers. And one of those things is you have to spend a long-term camp, which would be a week at summer camp. So right out of the gate, you have to spend at least a week at a summer camp or a long-term camping facility. But they go hand in hand again. It's very similar to you take the staff, and a majority of the staff members are on the OA or in the OA, or they're on the lodge executive committee, which means they're more involved in the lodge than the average member, and vice versa. Doing service for camp, we have our weekends. We spruce up the camp, get it ready for camp, or shut down camp, whichever weekend you want to go to. And during the summer, the camp promotes the OA with the call outs and ice cream socials, and just making sure that all the scouts know about the Order of the Arrow, which is great.
And so being a lodge advisor, the OA is a youth-run organization, and so how do you see your role as lodge advisor?
Pretty similar to a scoutmaster or a program director, we'll say, as you could probably relate. You let them do what they got to do and step in so they don't hurt and kill themselves. What it comes down to. That's really what it is. You just sit back and you coach them a little bit and watch them fly. They jump out of the nest and Sometimes they dive bomb. Sometimes they take off like an eagle, and it works out. In the end, the program continues, and they have fun. And they learn, and that's the most rewarding thing about being a lodge advisor. That's for sure.
Mhm. Now, for you, scouting has been a family affair for quite a while. How do you see scouting being unique in that aspect as compared to maybe other programs that are out there?
Sure. Well, right out of the gate, you don't necessarily meet your wife at other youth organizations. Back in '98, I met my wife Laura at Chesterfield, and got engaged, and a year later we were married. And 25 plus years later, here we are. But the family, it's the family that scouts together stays together, and it's different from other organizations. And I'm not bashing baseball or basketball or soccer or anything like that, but as a parent, unless you're picked to be the coach, you don't necessarily go in there and say, hey, I want to help out. You sit on the bleachers and rah rah from the sides. Whereas scouting, you jump in as a den leader or an assistant scoutmaster or committee member, and you're right there with your children, and it makes it a stronger family bond.
And you were involved in the Cub Scout program for a very long time, probably still are. How do you see that link between Cub Scouting and getting them exposed to camp?
Yeah. So I always say without blue and yellow, you don't have the Boy Scout green or Scouts BSA green. I'm sorry. And without Cub Scouting, there wouldn't be the Scouts BSA program. You have to get them used to the outdoors, the camp, the old cliches, the knots and the first aid and the fire building and the cooking and all that. But it also builds a little bit more courage and a little more strength. It makes them stronger in the program, so it makes it easier when they get into the scouting level, where they can just slide right in and have that overnight camp out or a week-long camp, especially at the Weeblos area or portion of it. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's move into our lightning round. So what is your favorite camp song?
So this is a two-parter. Very good question. So I'm very partial to what we would call at Chesterfield the Monday morning memory game, also known as one hen, two ducks, three squawk geese. That's been my favorite one. But when I came to Winoxet, I really fell in love with Top Notcher. So I'm going to go with Top Notcher.
All right, good one. How about your favorite camp skit?
Camp skit would be Falling Rock. It's an interesting skit. It takes two people, one to do the Native American Sign Language and one to do the acting it out, and it just gets a rise out of the crowd. So that's my favorite one.
How about your favorite camp meal?
I got to go with the pork roast. Pork roast nights are my favorite, and just the right amount of meat, perfect potatoes. Absolutely.
How about place in camp, and maybe we can do both Chesterfield and Winoxet.
All right. So Chesterfield would definitely have to be our amphitheater. Couple reasons for that is it overlooks the pond. There's no trees blocking it. On the perfect day, you got the mist coming off the pond. And that's where I spent a lot of my time as program director, running campfires and teaching a couple things. And it's also where I held my vigil over in Chesterfield for the OA. At Monoxet, the chapel. I think the chapel's probably my favorite, and probably a lot of people's favorite. Just what I'm talking about. You get that right in the morning, the perfect light on the lake, and it's just bliss. It's serene, and it's just very common. Plus, there's blueberries during the call out, so just munch on the blueberries. So.
Yeah, most people do say chapel, which is fine. I think an underrated time is like when mile swim is going on. That's a great place to watch it happen, and I don't know that a lot of people go there, but so yeah. All right, and then is there anyone you want to shout out that you maybe looked up to or had a big influence on you as you kind of came up?
Yeah. For those of you who know me and have gotten to know me in this area, I used to be very shy when I was a younger kid. So 90, the early 90s, very shy, didn't want to do anything. And I came on camp staff in 94. And my program director, Dave Faby, he was from the Transatlantic Council. and he was our program director, and he really got me out of my shell. It's one of those things where he forced me to get in front of 400 campers and, hey, you got to sing a song, go get him, Tiger. And that's what really, he's the one who really did the catalyst to my scouting career. But I also want to give a couple shout outs to some people out here. Luke Steer, great friend of mine, took me in as at Split Rock and Weeble's resident camp, and let me help out as as we joked about it, as the old weird guy that wanders around with his kid. But he really did take me in, and along with like Andrew Coleman. So absolutely.
Yeah, both great choices. Any kind of closing thoughts, any stories you want to share before we kind of wrap up?
Yeah. I mean, Winoxet, I talked to Andy Collins about this a lot, and it's one of those things where it's almost like I felt like a little puppy dog that ended up on your guys' doorstep, right? On Winoxet's doorstep, and you guys took me in and made, took me as one of your own. And I'm grateful for it. It's been a great time. It's been an honor, absolutely, working with you guys, on and off as volunteer staff, and I just love spending time up there. It's a special place. It really is, and something that everybody should experience, whether as a camper or go up as a leader for a week of camp or help out. It's a very special place, and I do want to thank Winoxet and the staff for taking me in. So, as a transplant, we'll say.
I think I speak for everyone when I say we're happy to have you as well. And the enthusiasm and I think ideas you bring to both the Cub Scout program, Boy Scout program, and the lodge. I think that's fantastic.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. So to our viewers, very shortly, we're going to have some major announcements about our 100th anniversary events, which will be coming. So keep an eye out for those, and definitely thank you, Kevin, for joining us, and hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
All right.